Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 21 of the Social Liability Podcast, the only podcast where two middle aged men sit around and complain about the people in our lives that violate the social contract we all agree to live by. I am your host, the Raspberries, with my co host, the Buck Grundle, and we got some stories about, well, dead bodies mostly this week. Mostly it's like, it's a body parts bonanza, really, is what it comes down to this week.
A cornucopia of corpses.
Ooh, that's a good one. See, I actually already named the episode Body Parts Bonanza, but a cornucopia of corpses might be better.
Yeah.
Might have had a subtitle on that one. How you been this week, Bucky?
As much as I'd love to complain, I'm just loving life. I got nothing. I mean, things are good in my little universe here.
Oh, I had to make a bunch of phone calls to people I haven't talked to in like a year or more, maybe in some cases a year and a half, 2 years, last night, and it was really cool having to be able to reach out and touch base with those people. Uh, we oftentimes, I'm not involved with this one particular aspect of my life right now, so I'm going to ignore all the people that were associated with that, and it's kind of a shitty thing to do. And I actually got to reach out and talk to some people, and it was kind of cool. It was a shitty situation because I'm trying to ask for help with something with the show that I'm helping put on down here, but it was kind of cool. Wish it was under better circumstances, but unfortunately it is what it is. But that all aside, we have some interesting stories that we're going to talk to you about that are just shocking and appalling in some cases. So let's get started. Our first story is being reported by Newsweek. Arizona man shocked to find his mother's donated body was strapped to a chair and detonated in U.S. military blast testing. Oh my God.
Talk about taking one for the team, right, Raz?
Okay, so a lot of people don't realize this, but when you donate your body, some shitty things happen. And I'm going to go over those as we go through this story. Some shitty things really happen. But let's go through the story first and figure out what shitty thing happened to this dude. The Arizona Body Donation Center, where FBI agents discovered a woman's head sewn onto a male body like Frankenstein, also sold an elderly woman's corpse to the U.S. Army to be blown up in a blast testing experiment. John Stauffer donated his mother's body to the Biological Resource Center in Maricopa County, Arizona, in 2013 after she died at age 74. Doris Stauffer suffered from Alzheimer's during the final years of her life. Doctors believe that disease may have mutated, as she did not have the usual Alzheimer's gene, and they hope to study her brain after her death. After neurologists said they could not accept the body, Jim Stauffer donated it to the BRC in hopes that her brain could still be used for scientific research. Okay, so we got a noble cause here, and most times body donations are a noble cause. 99 chances out of 100, and I say that because there's always a margin for error. You get nothing. That's why it's called a body donation. So that's something really to keep in mind as we go forward with this.
I just want to say that, like, ballistics research is a science. And if it blew up her body, they would have to document the effects of whatever, mischievous deeds they're doing down there. In some roundabout, convoluted way, I guess kind of a win.
Maybe.
It's like,
except when you find out this is the same place that had like a head sewn on another body, and
hey, whoa, we don't need to move on. The only thing that separates the people in the basement laboratory where they're sewing heads onto other bodies from Jack Ripper is purpose. Okay? If Jack the Ripper had a little purpose and a cornucopia of corpses to work with, perhaps he would not have terrorized, downtown London. Get with the times. These people could be serial killers, but instead they're taking already deceased corpses, and then, like some dude in the basement's like, it's gonna get blown up anyhow. We're just having a little fun here. You know, it's good. Put it on the gram.
Several days later, Jim Stoffer received a wooden box containing his mother's ashes. He was never told how his mother's body had been used at the center. Years later, a Reuters report revealed that her brain was never used for Alzheimer's research. Instead, her body was sold off to the U.S. Army so it could be used as part of an experiment to measure the danger caused by roadside bombs. She was then supposedly strapped in a chair on some sort of apparatus and had a detonation take place under her to basically kind of get the idea of what the human body goes through when the vehicle is hit by an IED. They are actually...
Can we call that woman an IEG?
Go on.
I can't remember what IED... Improvised explosive grandmother.
Oh, my Lord. They are actually wording... There was actual wording on his paperwork about the stuff... about performing this stuff, he added. Performing these medical tests that may involve explosions, and we said no. We checked the no box on all of that. According
check the paperwork, man.
He did, and he checked the box that said no explosives.
All the boxes are properly checked here. No harm, no foul.
No, he checked the no box for no explosives. According to Reuters, at least 20 bodies donated to BRC were sold off to the Army for blast experiments without the family's consent. The bodies were sold for around $5,893 each. The detonation center is no longer operating because it was raided in 2014 by the FBI following accusations of it selling donated bodies for profit. It was during the 2014 raid the agents made several horrific discoveries, including a woman's head sewn on to a male torso, dismembered limbs and heads strewn about, and a cooler filled with male genitalia. Let's stop there for a second. They found a cooler full of dicks.
So the ignorant comments that are going through my head are by the millions, and I just can't pick the proper one. But that's just wow.
So how far down the totem pole do you have to be that your job is, we're going to blow this corpse up. When we're done, you need to go in there and find the dick. And you need to put the dick in the dick box.
I think that is definitely inefficient. I'm going to have to give these ne'er-do-wells some credit, man. I think that they're cutting off the genitalia before the body explodes.
Okay, maybe.
I mean, like, you know...
But what does one do with a box of dicks?
You know what? I mean, watch the movie Van Wilder. I'm sure you could get a couple of ideas. I don't know.
I mean, seriously, you get through college and you get through all the academy and you get on with the FBI and your first raid is, hey, we're gonna go raid this place. Okay, cool. You get in there, hey, you, Buck, check that box over there.
Well, you know,
you open the box up and there's just a bunch of fucking happy phallics looking at you.
It's a very phallic folly.
Oh my Lord. Who keeps a box of dicks?
You know what though? I mean, first off, that is the birth of like some very good insults. I'm sure that we could toy around with that for a while and really come up with some really terrible things to call people. But you know, maybe there's like a black market value for, you know, cockles that we're not really aware of. I mean, perhaps.
I don't think they're grinding them up as some kind of aphrodisiac.
I don't know, man. Maybe Chinese dildo makers.
But they just drop it in lacquer and put it on the shelf?
Stranger things have happened. There's a subreddit. I'm sure there's a subreddit for that. I really am. I mean, like, seriously.
Oh, I do love Reddit. That's for sure. Oh, no. BRC's owner, Stephen Gore. His name is Stephen Gore.
See, that's why I love the fact that we don't read the articles before we choose them. Like we have somebody normally like make sure that we're not going to be reading something terrible and heinous, but this is completely organic. Like the fact that this guy's name is Gore has just connected every dot that I needed to happen in order to just turn this into from like really terrible to just fucking hilarious,
This
and I
dude,
love it.
this dude's name is Stephen Gore.
Yes.
And he pled guilty to illegal control of an enterprise in 2015 and is now serving probation. Jim Stauffer is one of several people currently suing Gore and the BRC. He described how Gore had stolen, quote, a lot more than my mom's body, end quote, with his actions. Because every time you think about her, every time there's a memory, every time there's a photograph you look at, there's this ugly thing that happened just right there, staring right out. Oh, do you remember when that grandma, had that party? Yeah. I also remember when grandma got blown the fuck up.
And we found her remains next to a box of dicks.
Well, no, they cremated her and sent her back.
I wonder how many ashes were in that urn that he got back that were actually grandma, or perhaps they were
Just scrapings
cremated
off the floor.
Like, who knows, man? They might have just been saving them in order to fill up ashes. Fill up urns with ashes. It's like, nah, nobody wants a dick. Bam, cut that off, burn it in the incinerator. It's like, Grammy weighed, I don't know, 94 pounds at death. Yeah, put her in there. Yeah, her right arm, her left leg, and 40 cocks. That should make up the excess weight.
I mean, do you like lay the dicks out in the shape of a body so you know you have about the right size?
Just as long as it looks good under a sheet. Just in case your boss comes by. It's
So-
like, yep, just throwing this one into the furnace, boss. Whoosh.
So I worked in the hospital system, and the first time I encountered a harvester come in, I thought there was no way, because you see this thing in the TV and in movies and stuff where they take them into the OR and they harvest the organs, and there's this you get them to the helicopter and they fly out, everything. Usually when they're harvesting organs, that's pretty quick. It's pretty quick. But the mass amount of harvesting that take place isn't of like hearts and lungs and stuff of that nature. So what ends up happening is after they have expired and they're put in the cooler, usually, hopefully the same day, maybe the next day, this young lady will show up. She's not wearing anything special, and she's got a backpack, like a JanSport backpack. And she says, I'm here from Gift of Life or whatever. And I'm here to for Mr. or Mrs. whatever. I'm like, oh, okay, that person's dead. Yeah, that's why I'm here. What? So you escort them to the cooler, and they pull the body out, and whatever's in that backpack is what they use. They don't use anything on site. And when they leave, they just leave with the backpack. So everything they took is now in that backpack. And they will absolutely, positively mutilate a body. And I mean, they will mutilate that sucker. She's not getting paid to sit around and play with and make everything look nice. No. They will absolutely just positively destroy the body to get what they want.
It's like somebody cleaning a chicken, huh?
It really is, because I put it to you this way: when they leave a box. It's a little bit bigger than a shoe box, and that is like a thing they leave for the mortician in case they still want to do an actual burial as opposed to a cremation. And it's like full of makeup and like wooden balls they can put in there, because one of the things they're taking is eyeballs, and then there's like a sunken in socket that's there now. They take femurs. So they'll sometimes be like PVC pipe so that they can shove it in there and keep the leg intact a little bit. They just rip, tear, and you name it, they take everything. And in some cases, when they do take the whole body, they're not like refrigerating them or anything. They are literally throwing them in the back of a rented Ryder truck and taking them to some facility. They will absolutely, positively destroy a freaking body. And the thing about it is when you donate the remains, you get nothing. You don't even get a tax write-off. But the average amount that like a company such as the Gift of Life or something else, they're making almost $100,000 off a corpse. So it's kind of ridiculous, really. You think they'd at least pay for the burial, but no, not so much.
Well, I've got two questions about this. One is, do you really feel that article is that strange now, explaining that people shove PVC pipes into bodies to make their legs look real?
See,
After that, I mean, like,
that's why I'm
you
throwing a
know,
little context into it.
yeah. I mean, like, and I'm not asking you necessarily, Raz. I'm, you, the valued. Thank you so much again for listening, listener. The listener.
Well, see,
like,
there's also
like, seriously.
there's
Like,
also
and also,
in various places throughout the country too. There's places that there are body farms where they literally will take a corpse and throw it under a tree or whatever just to measure the rate of decomposition in certain weather conditions so that they can then learn, like, okay, we found this body. Let's measure the rate of its decomposition. Okay, the weather's been this for the last 5 days. This body's been laying here for 7 days. And that's how that's how science evolves, and that's how forensics evolves. But most people don't realize that when you donate the body, it might get blown the fuck up. You don't know.
You're literally giving it to people that might really, really live by the fact that if you want an omelet, you've got to break an egg. Now, that leads me to my second question, though, about this. You seem to have some experience with reputable organ donation practices, or donation practices, as inhumane as they may seem. Has there ever been a box of dicks?
I've never seen a box of dicks, but I have seen a bag of feet.
That's okay. I did not expect that rebuttal. That we could do a whole podcast on that. Like, did you name the toes? I mean,
all right. Okay. A little context. In the facility I worked in, we had to be the ones to release the bodies. So we had what was it, a mortician come in to pick up somebody. So we got them out of the cooler, small cooler, paying the butt to move stuff around because it's so small. You can literally, if you stack, because they're the kind of gurneys that we use, you could actually stack multiple ones up. So you could fit 4 in there, but it was a pain in the ass. 2 were okay. You could get 2 in there easily. So when they do it, you never see a corpse in a hospital if you're a visitor or another patient. So what they'll do is they'll have ways, they'll clear the hallways to move people. But just in case, what they'll do is they have like this metal bracket that goes over the bed or over the gurney, and it's got a shroud over it. So it just looks like you're moving a big box. That's a dead guy. Well, those just get pushed straight into the cooler. So we pulled it out and moved the body over, and laying on top is just a bag, and the bag looks like one of those bags that they put your personal item in at the hospital. You know what I mean? There's but it's got a bio bag inside of it, which not uncommon. Maybe it's got dentures in it or something of that nature. And I saw the bag laying there, and I looked at the guy from the funeral home. Oh, wait a minute, there's some personal items here. I reached over, grabbed the bag, and picked it up, and immediately dropped it and said, "Nope, that's a foot."
I was going to say, like, what a clever way to fire somebody. Be like, give them their walking papers along with a foot. I mean, like, just in case you fuck up when you're putting your best foot forward the next time around. Yeah, here you go. And
that foot almost went with the body, but then we realized the foot had its own tag with a different name on there. Somebody was in an accident. They lost their foot. It was amputated. Sometimes people have those preserved in some way so their body can be buried whole due to religious obligations. And that's what this was. So, but it was just a bag of feet.
So basically, when he gets buried, he's going to have to go up to the pearly gates and be like, yeah, got a step ahead.
Oh, that's bad.
No, actually, I thought that was quite good.
No, that was bad.
No.
Oh, geez. Okay, our second story today is Mom's remains go missing after being mailed to wrong Florida address, which brings us to our our theme song for the day, Florida Man.
Florida man, does whatever the fuck he can. Makes headlines every time. Florida's paradigm. Look out! Here comes Florida Man.
Because some of the best stories always come out of the Sunshine State. Okay, so let's go over this for a minute. This is in Jacksonville, Florida. This is being reported by the clickorlando.com. A Kentucky woman is sending out what she calls an urgent plea after a box containing her mother's cremated remains went missing when she mailed it to her sister in Florida. On September 9th, Amy Redford of LaGrange, Kentucky, sent the box via USPS to what she thought was her sister's address in Jacksonville. The Florida Times-Union reported, the box, which bore a bright label saying cremated remains, was delivered the next day. Unfortunately, however, her sister had moved, and Redford did not know. Redford has talked to the postal inspectors and the apartment manager to piece together a timeline. The tenant took the box when the mail carrier knocked on the door, but seemed in a hurry because she was taking an online test, Redford told the newspaper. When the woman realized the box wasn't for her, she put it outside so the mail carrier could take it. Now it's missing. Redford hopes someone will see her story and help. Getting the word out as much as possible is the best strategy, so that's sort of what I've been hoping for. Somebody might see something, somebody might know something. She has emailed trash companies in Jacksonville who've pledged to keep an eye out for the package. She has also talked to Postal Service employees in Kentucky that have done an amazing job here and have literally been in contact with me every single day. As a matter of fact, I now have the postmaster's cell phone. Redford's grandmother, Catherine Elizabeth Mays, died at age 77. I just want to put her in peace. I don't want my mother to end up in some landfill somewhere. Okay. So nobody did anything wrong here, except maybe one person. She mailed her remains. She did it correctly. It was delivered to the address she addressed it to. The woman took it inside, realized, oh, this isn't mine, and put it back outside for the post office, and then it just disappeared into the ether. So I have to say porch pirate. That's my guess, is a porch pirate. But can you imagine being the porch pirate, and you open the box, it's not a glitter bomb, but it's a box of ashes.
Again, consult a movie Van Wilder for any ideas on what to do with a box of ashes that you have no intention of returning. Because just throwing them away would be a terrible waste.
Ugh. I mean, what do you continue your nefarious ways of stealing packages if you open it up and get a face full of grandma? I mean,
I literally couldn't come up with a better come to Jesus kind of moment there.
It's not even as though
that's like looking under your bed and finding out that the monster's real. It's like, okay, maybe my choices in life are leading down a long and lonesome road.
I mean, seriously, the box even says real big on the side of it, human or cremated remains. I mean, it says what's in the bloody box, but they're like, oh no, that's just diversion. It's got an iPhone in it. I swear, it's got to have an iPhone in it or something.
Man. Probably thought it was an iPad Pro.
And ashes aren't light either. Let me tell you.
No, they are not.
When you have somebody cremated, that's actually quite a hefty amount of material left behind. So, I mean, if you're listening out there, dude, maybe just drop them off at the post office, so somebody finds them. Because obviously the post office is on the case. But god dang.
Yeah, that's like having the fastest ship in the fleet on the job. Yay, post office is on the move.
I mean, typically I hate the post office and I despise anything they try to do because they can't do anything right. But it doesn't sound like they did anything wrong in this scenario, so I can't.
I really can't argue with that. The post office, they're just here for comedic value. That's all there is to it.
Well, let's move on to another story. This is being reported by WDBO, Orlando's News and Talk Radio, 107.3 FM.
Bam.
But it's on our website, so take that for what it's worth. Gainesville, Florida. Police in Gainesville are trying to determine if a jar of preserved human remains may have been part of a university research study. Again, the great state of Florida never ceases to amaze us. WCJB reports that the remains were discovered under the floorboards of a home in northwest Gainesville during an inspection of the house's foundation. But my first thought is, yeah, these are probably a research thing for the university. Yeah, that's why they're under the floorboards in a house. The home had been owned by Dr. Ronald Bauman, a former researcher at the University of Florida. Dr. Bauman published several studies in the 1970s and 80s, including 2 regarding canker sores in one of the keto brush plus cell collector, something similar to a tongue depressor. So it's a damn stick. A name that I can't barely spit out. It's a damn stick. Okay. These studies may be important to the investigation as detectives are now working to see if the body parts may be related to the professor's research. Some of the jars date back more than 50 years containing human tongues. Dude's got jars of tongues under his house.
Man, we've just gone through a viable cornucopia of fucked up. Starting at a box of dicks. Then we're just gonna come full circle and close it all down with a jar of tongues. Fuck it. Yeah.
Okay, I can see some comedic value in having a box of dicks, but what value is is a jar of tongues? I can't think of anything I could possibly do with a jar of tongues. Box of dicks, maybe. Jar of tongues, not so much.
You know, the answer is right on the tip of my. Yeah, it must. Yeah, fuck it. Can't come up with the word.
That was bad.
No. Again, that was just.
Do you ever listen back to these shows and just feel ashamed of yourself?
Only like once or twice, but that.
Oh my lord, that's just bad.
Yeah, but no, but you know what? I think you said it best, man. You either win or you learn.
It's either you win or you learn something. That's something I teach my children. That's not something I should have to teach you.
Yeah, but I learned it from you.
You're sad. Oh, I mean, there's.
Well, fuck it, man. I'm changing the motto from whatever I'm gonna change it to, because it used to be in Raz We Trust. Not anymore. My life is a lie.
We've all had those creepy teachers in school who are just freaking freaks outside of the school, maybe in the school too. I mean, I'd have to ask if somebody has to go around and interview this guy's former students. Does this guy have a tongue fetish? Did he always ask you to stick out his tongue? Is that why he was working on tongue depressors? He
might have been a linguist.
Oh God. I have now hit that button 3 times today, Buck. Can we stop?
Okay.
So this creepy fucker's collecting tongues, some other creepy fucker's collecting dicks, and some other creepy fuckers collecting ashes, apparently.
Like I said, man, full circle.
I never realized dead bodies were this interesting to people. I mean, med students, when they get their cadavers, they're fucking around with them. But there's a dark humor aspect to that where people have to adapt to the fucked up situation they're dealing with. And you can either, one of 2 things is going to happen. You're either going to completely shut down or you're going to start making jokes to try to relieve the tension. And it's very common in law enforcement and in the medical field and stuff of that nature where you develop that dark humor. And people make jokes about, they use the smell from the defibrillator. Ooh, yeah, frying them now. And, when the cadavers are on the table for dissection, they're going to look at their dick. They're going to do shit like that. And it's just to relieve the tension. It's not usually anything that's supposed to be like, fuck this person in particular. They're trying to keep themselves from going crazy. But in these instances, that's definitely not the case. This is some kind of weird, fucked up fetish shit right here.
Yeah, when you start like sewing the head of one woman onto the torso of a dude,
that's just for the lulz.
Like,
but I mean, you know what I'm talking about, that dark humor. You were in.
Oh, of course.
You were in law enforcement, so you know that it's a coping mechanism. And, people always make jokes, or not jokes, they get angered when they see, like, footage that comes out of EMTs or police officers or even doctors making comments. And it's when they're dealing with what they're seeing on a daily basis, not daily basis, but, on a regular basis, they're either going to go fucking insane or they're going to sound like they're twisted. It's going to be one of the two.
Right. You know what? Humor is a great coping mechanism, and people need to realize that first and foremost. Like, I've done it, like, I don't know, 3 times, I think you counted on this episode alone, making bad jokes. People do that when they feel insecure. They make bad jokes. They shouldn't sew one woman's head onto another one's body. That's taken a little too far.
Just a little bit, yeah. Now, when you get that cadaver of the porn star, because porn stars die, folks. Guess what? You're gonna look at her titties. That's the way it is.
And you might say something clever like, "Well, I guess Debbie did Dallas," and then you're just gonna pull the sheet back up and move on to your next task of the day. It's all about putting in an 8 in the gate.
But when you cross the line to lopping that titty off and putting it in a jar, that's why when you cross the line, you need to reevaluate your choices in life.
Yeah, and especially to get busted by somebody finding it buried under floorboards of your home.
At least he was ashamed of it enough to hide it. I mean,
yeah, but still, man. I mean, hiding it means you're guilty of something. Should have just had that crap. Like, you should have had it next to the baked beans. Been like, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. At least he had at least he had enough shame to hide it. Unlike like the friend that we've all had that leaves the Playboys laying on the coffee table. I mean, or the Hustlers even, just on the coffee table. Hide that shit. We don't care you're jerking off. Everyone jerks off. Just do it on your own time.
Right. Exactly. There's a time and a place.
Yep. And we still
for just about everything.
If something does happen to me, you still are gonna come down here and delete my browser history, right?
Sir, it is a millennial pact. Like, we are older than the internet. So when that shit came out and started, I don't know about you, man, but I was 12 years old. I remember when the internet came out and they brought us into an assembly room. They're like, you need to learn this. And I was like, blah, blah, blah. And then somebody said something about porn. And then immediately my freaking teenage boy adapters, all my antenna were just like,
you can get porn on the internet?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Sign me up.
and then the agreement was birthed. It didn't happen with me, but I know that one guy looked at another guy and said, if anything happens to me, you need to come in here and make sure that nobody knows I'm a scumbag. And then it was like wildfire. People are like, oh yeah. So yeah, if anything happens to you, man, don't you worry about it. I got you.
Outstanding. Well, that being said, I think that's going to wrap us up. If we do ask, though, if you enjoyed this podcast, please tell a friend about it. We want to try to get this more popular. Also, for next month or so, if you want to jump over to my Twitch channel, it's going to be twitch.tv/the_raspberries01. I'll be doing charity streams for Extra Life with all the money going towards Penn State Children's Hospital. And I would appreciate anybody just stopping in and viewing the stream. You don't have to donate anything. Just come into the stream. The more people we get in there, the more people will come in, and the more money we can raise for the Children's Miracle Network. I know that sounds like a really weird thing coming out of this podcast, but it's something I'm doing, so I'm going to try to get it out there as much as I can.
I don't blame you. Hey, Raz, I just want to point out to everybody, I actually have now finished my second week in a row viewing your stream on Twitch. And I would just like to highlight that as a professional and avid video game spectator, you put on quite a show.
I wouldn't exactly go that far, but I at least try to keep it entertaining. And the more people get in
what
there,
it is.
I have people to talk to then. If I have people to talk to, I can interact. If I can interact, I can actually be entertaining. But it is what it is. That being said, folks, thank you for listening. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you tell a friend. And we'll see you on next week's episode of the Social Liability Podcast.